Hi everybody, this is Joe Cruz and welcome to these Christian Times YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the tribulation. Will it begin next year on 2015? Now I stumbled upon this great article written by Mark Beltz on the tribulation to begin a year from now. Now before we start jumping down his throat, a lot of people will say you cannot date set. But I actually believe that there is a possibility that you can kind of pinpoint when Jesus Christ returns. Now I know don't start to freak out at me and start assuming that I am a date setter, because I'm not a date setter. But once the tribulation begins, we start a countdown before the return of Jesus Christ happens. And after that 7-year tribulation, you'll kind of narrow down when Jesus Christ is actually going to come back. So do I know what year he's going to come back? Actually, I don't. I'm just proposing that when the tribulation begins, as the days and the months come by and the years go by, yes, you will be able to tell when he is getting closer. Anyways, so before you start getting upset about the date setting, let's go, and this is where I think a lot of people get everything mixed up. Let's go to Matthew, okay? Matthew 24:36, where it says, "Be ready at any hour. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven nor the Son, but the Father alone. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah." Just like the days of Noah. Now, what are they talking here? Are they talking about the tribulation? Are they talking about the day of the Lord? Are they talking about the second coming of Jesus Christ? I actually believe that they are talking about the rapture. This is the thief in the night. This is when Jesus Christ comes and snatches his believers into heaven. And that's what I assume is the rapture. So that is, nobody knows when that's going to happen. And to me, that makes more sense than the fact when Jesus Christ comes on his second coming, and when the days start to, when the tribulation begins, a time marker will be set into motion. You can't tell me you won't be able to figure that out. But if Jesus Christ is coming for his bride, and we hear the trump and we get taken up into the sky, well, yeah, that's a whole different story, because we don't know when he's supposed to come, and we don't know when he's supposed to snatch us up. So this is what I am proposing with the whole thing with Mark Beltz. Now I think the title is kind of misleading, because Mark Beltz is basically saying that he doesn't know when it's really going to happen, even though the title says, yeah, will it start next year. So let's read what he writes here. For the most part, theologians agree that the tribulation is 7 years long. Like I've been saying, what I'm proposing is that it's simply a continuation of the Shemitah cycle that has been ticking along for ages. Folks, that is jaw-breaking. That is prophetic. That is a bombshell. I mean, the Shemitah and the tribulation together, that makes a lot of sense. It's a reset. It's a reset button, basically. The tribulation will not be any random sequence of 7 years, but the first year of the tribulation will begin with the first year of the 7-year cycle. This has huge prophetic implications when we realize that Rosh Hashanah is the 7th year of a 7-year cycle, and the fall of 2015 begins a new 7-year cycle. In plain English, the 7-year tribulation could begin next fall. If it does not, then that means it will not start for another 7 years, since it is just a continuation of God's orderly time clock. I'm not saying the Lord will return next fall. I'm not saying the rapture will take place next fall. I'm just saying, regardless of where you want to put us on God's timeline, the 7-year tribulation is part of that timeline and will happen as part of the Shemitah cycle. So this is what he's saying. Next year, is it possible? Yes, it's a possibility is there that tribulation will happen, but what he's trying to say is that Shemitah is with the 7-year tribulation. Now, what is the Shemitah? What is it? The Shemitah is well, let's read Deuteronomy 15:1-2. At the 7 years you will make a release, and this is the manner of the release: to release the hand of every creditor from what he lent his friend. He should not exact from his friend or his brother because of the time of the release, for the Lord has arrived. For the Lord has arrived. The Shemitah year waives all outstanding debts between Jewish debtors and creditors. If you want to, this is at Shabbat.org, and he, or whoever it is, wrote a great article on this too. And for Leviticus 25:3-6, for 6 years you should sow your seed. Now this is all a relinquish of personal ownership of their fields. So whatever the produce would grow on the field, it was communal property, free to anyone to take. That was God's way of giving back. And the land was supposed to be at rest during that time. So this is what the Shemitah basically is. Now, this is why I don't believe it may not happen next year. The prophecy of Damascus, the oracle concerning Damascus, behold, Damascus is about to be removed from being a city and will become a fallen ruin. Damascus has not been destroyed, folks. We're waiting for that to happen. Will it happen next year? Possibility. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think this needs to happen first before the tribulation happens. But even before then, before Damascus gets destroyed, the prophecy of Gog and Magog needs to commence too. Now, this I think is really close to being fulfilled, especially when Obama recently said that he's going to send our military might to destroy ISIS or ISIL. Imagine if ISIS came over to our state, our nation, and destroyed one of our cities with a nuclear bomb. Heaven forbid that does happen, but if it does, you can about imagine what's going to happen with all the bombs dropping in Damascus if ISIS is there. Gives them a good excuse to destroy Syria too. Anyway, so that's the possibility there. But why this has to happen before the day of the Lord, before the battle of Gog and Magog. And why am I? You have to read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39 to understand where I'm going with this. But I'm at chapter 39, and let me explain to you why I'm in chapter 39. I think that the Shemitah, the one that they're talking about, saying next year the tribulation could happen. What if it leads to something other than the tribulation? What if it's leading to the day of the Lord? And then after that happens, a 7-year rest happens, and then the 7-year tribulation begins. And let me explain to you why I believe that might be happening, or that is the possibility that that could happen. So let's read chapter 39 verse 6. And I will send a fire among and I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they should know that I am the Lord. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen should know that I am the Lord, the Holy One in Israel. Behold, it is come and it is done, says the Lord God. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the hastaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. 7 years. We see the 7 years here again. Is this a possible future event of the day of the Lord? What they're writing about with the Shemitah could happen next year. The battle of Gog and Magog. Listen, Russia is getting ready. Russia is Gog Magog, all right? Iran is getting ready to side with Russia. Turkey's getting ready to side with Russia. All these Islamic nations are going to side with Russia for this day of the Lord, and it's going to happen. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to get destroyed when they come upon the land of Israel, and God is going to manifest himself and destroy them. And the world will know that he is the Lord. I am the Lord, your God. And they will burn their weapons for 7 years. That is, for 7 years. That's pretty, that's a long time. So I believe that this, what we're leading to, all these prophetic moons, all these blood moons, it could be the day of the Lord. And then we wait another 7 years before the tribulation begins. Now let's not forget that this prophecy has not commenced either. The Zephaniah 2.5 prophecy. For Gaza will be abandoned, and Ascalon a desolation. Ashdod will be driven out at noon, and Ekron will be uprooted. Woe to the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nations of the Chetherites. The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, land of the Philistines, and I will destroy you, so that there will be no inhabitants. That has not happened. The Palestinians are still there. They have not been uprooted, folks. We're waiting for that to happen yet. So, no, I don't believe the tribulation will begin next year, but something is leading to a reset that makes me believe that we are on the cusp of a big major event, and I think it could be the day of the Lord. Now, one more reason why I don't think the tribulation will begin next year. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So why am I talking about this one? Well, they're talking about sacrifice here, and when they talk about sacrifice, they're talking about a temple that has not been rebuilt yet. We're waiting for the Jews to rebuild the third temple. That is very significant, folks. We're waiting for another third temple to appear. And is it possible that that could be built next year? Yeah, the possibility is there. But I just don't see it right now either. So, what am I trying to say? Okay, this is what I believe. The tribulation will not begin next year, even though I agree with what Mark Biltz has written, that the Shemitah is part of the tribulation period. It makes a lot of sense. But I do believe that we could be leading up to the day of the Lord. And that is that's huge. Islands are going to be moved out of their places. A big earthquake is going to happen. The whole world is going to be turned upside down. And God is going to make himself known to the world. And for 7 years, the Israelites will be burning the weapons of those nations that came upon her to plunder, to destroy her, to wipe her off the face of the earth. It's coming. You want to know these things, folks? Come to God. Ask Jesus Christ into your life. He is the one that's going to provide you with all this information. He loves you that much. You can sit there and you can say, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Every day, those who question him still seek him. They want to know. They want God to show them a miracle or a sign. But it's not going to happen like that. You want to know what's happening with the latter times? Come to God. Ask Jesus Christ into your life, into your heart. He will guarantee you to show you the future because he loves you that much. Now, what about the future? When is that going to happen with the tribulation? Like I said, I don't know. I'm not going to set any times. I'm not going to set any dates. But I do believe that this whole 7-year Shemitah cycle is significant, and it's a reset button, folks. Something big is coming, and I think it might be the day of the Lord, and it's not going to be the tribulation. And we might have to wait after the day of the Lord happens. We might have to wait another 7 years before the day of the Lord begins. Thank you for visiting these Christian Times. God bless you. I hope that you visit my website and tell me what you think. If you like it, great. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. I got no beef. I ain't gonna disable your comments. Same thing for these Christian Times. Go up there and say what you want to say and tell me what you want to tell me and how you feel about my website. Thank you again for visiting, and God bless you.